trade deadline is right around the corner. Is Trey Hendrickson back on the market? Are the Bears calling the Titans about Jeffrey Simmons? Multiple sources are now speculating that the Bears want to be aggressive at the trade deadline, and they're calling around, talking to other teams, searching for a trade partner that makes sense. Every single day, there are NFL trade rumors popping up all over the place, with insiders and sources reporting that teams are interested in making moves and also trying to predict landing spots for all these rumors. The Bears are reportedly calling teams about potential trades, and they're getting a feel for the market at the trade deadline. Now, I know a lot of fans despise trade rumors, but every media outlet talks about them, and some fans love to know if there's a chance. I keep it super realistic when it comes to these rumors. 99% of the time, these rumors are wrong. When guys do get traded, it's usually a surprise or someone that nobody was talking about. But here's the thing, guys. As we get closer and closer to the trade deadline, these rumors are just going to keep popping up and spreading around the media about every team in the NFL. So I wanted to at least address the rumors and give my take on the big names and then also mention some players that nobody's really talking about. But I believe the biggest news here is that with the Bears now winning 4 straight games, there is legit reason to believe that we should be buyers at the trade deadline, and Ryan Poles and company are going to be looking to improve this roster. I'm going to talk about the guys being connected to the Bears and rumors and whether or not I think it's smart or realistic to trade for those players. Let's go ahead and get right into it. First up, multiple sources have now connected the Bears to Titans star defensive lineman Jeffrey Simmons. With the Titans losing again after firing their head coach Brian Callahan, this is a team that is staring in the face of a multi year rebuild. On top of that, they're going through growing pains with rookie quarterback Cam Ward. And this is a team that looks like they're going to be picking in the top 5 again next year and battling for the number 1 pick. Setting at 1-5 and at the bottom of the AFC South, they are 4 games behind the first place Colts. Jeffrey Simmons is rumored to want out, and multiple Titans beat reporters are speculating that the team could trade him. There are also a couple of reports that the Bears are a team to watch and that we've made calls about Simmons. He's one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league, and he would be a huge upgrade for the Chicago Bears. He just turned 28 years old, and he's a 3 time Pro Bowler. The problem is probably how much he costs. He's under contract until 2028 with 2.5 years left on his deal, with cap hits around 25 million a season. It would be an expensive addition, and it would also cost the Bears some quality draft capital as well. They're not going to give this guy away. And honestly, it really depends on Grady Jarrett's health. He's the guy we signed to play this position and be an impact player on the interior of our defensive line, but he just missed another game on Sunday. Could the Bears try to bring in another D tackle? I doubt they could do that with Jarrett's salary on the books. Unless they could somehow include him in the trade, I do not see us bringing in another highly paid interior lineman. Although Simmons would make our defense a lot better, I just don't think it's very realistic. One player the Titans could trade, though, to keep an eye on is edge rusher Arden Key. That's a name to watch out for. Next up, though, is Cincinnati Bengals pass rusher Trey Hendrickson. He's been one of the most talked about players all offseason long. His contract talks and holdout were both very public, and he was constantly involved in trade rumors and speculation. I said all offseason that I expected him to remain in Cincy this year, and that's pretty much what happened after he eventually signed a reworked 1 year deal after holding out all of training camp. But fast forward a couple of months here, and Trey's name is back on the rumor mill. Multiple teams have reportedly called the Bengals about the star pass rusher, and there is reason to believe they'd be open to dealing him if they continue losing. It didn't make much sense in the offseason when they were expected to be contenders, but after Joe Burrow went down with a major injury, this team has lost 4 out of the last 5 games, and they've been one of the NFL's worst teams over the last month. With Trey Hendrickson being in the final year of his deal, why not move him and try to acquire some draft picks in the deal? The biggest issue with this is the Bengals traded for Joe Flacco, and they ended up beating the Steelers last Thursday night, and that was without Hendrickson in the lineup. I think a loss would have increased the odds they trade him. I think right now the Bengals' plan is for Joe Flacco to keep them competitive until Joe Burrow returns. At least that's what they're hoping for. But a counterpoint here, the Bengals won that last game without Hendrickson in the lineup. Could that motivate them to trade this guy? I'm 50-50, but if I had to make a prediction now, I'd say Trey stays with the Bengals. My biggest issue with this, and I talked about it this offseason, is I think anyone trading for Hendrickson is going to be overpaying for his past production. Yes, they'll be acquiring an elite pass rusher, but for the Bears, they'd need to move a ton of salary around, restructure multiple contracts, and it would cost us a high draft pick. With the amount of money we're already paying to Montez Sweat and Deo Odangbo, as well as the money spent on Grady Jarrett, I just cannot see us making a move for a guy like Trey Hendrickson. I don't know if we trade for any defensive lineman that's making over 20 million a season. So that probably means no Jeffrey Simmons, no Trey Hendrickson, and probably no Max Crosby either. That's the next name that everyone is talking about. Honestly, I doubt the Raiders are going to move on from their best player unless someone offered them a haul of draft picks. And same story here. He costs too much, and I don't want to give up all those draft picks. So while it is fun to imagine Max Crosby in a Bears uniform, that one is extremely unlikely if you ask me. But there are other players out there that could be available, as a lot of teams shift their focus here to rebuilding. The Jets are 0-7. The Titans are 1-6. The Saints are now 1-6. There are also a couple of other one-win teams like the Dolphins and Ravens. Some two-win teams like the Cardinals, Giants, Raiders, Texans, and Browns. Any one of those teams could decide it's time to give up on the season and look towards building in the future. At that point, there could be some really interesting names that pop up on the trade block. At running back, Brees Hall, Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, and a bunch more could all become available. However, with DeAndre Swift finally getting into a groove and Kyle Monangai also finding success, I think it's less likely now that the Bears add a running back. But what about edge rushers? I don't believe we're going to trade for a guy making 20 million a season, but what about a guy on a value contract or still on their rookie deal? The Giants' Kayvon Thibodeau fits that bill. What about Chase Young from the Saints that we just saw? There's a lot of players out there that could actually fit what the Bears are looking for. Some other names that are floating around or could become available on the defensive line, you have Bradley Chubb of the Dolphins, Jalen Phillips as well, Kayvon Thibodeau that I just mentioned, Arden Key of the Titans, and a couple of interior linemen as well, Mozzie Smith of the Cowboys and Calais Campbell with the Cardinals. A couple of linebackers, although that's not a big need. You got Demario Davis of the Saints, Jordan Brooks of the Dolphins, and Jamal Adams, the former safety, is playing well with the Raiders. But what about cornerback? A position the Bears are hurting at. Cam Taylor Britt of the Bengals. A couple other guys like Jermaine Johnson, Tariq Woolen, Greg Newsome, even Alante Taylor, and Rasul Douglas. A lot of cornerbacks that could potentially be on the market. Even safety Kyle Duggar of the Patriots is in the rumor mill now after he got benched. But the bottom line here is there are a ton of players around the NFL that losing teams might be shopping at the deadline. Only a few of those big names would require the Bears to give away significant draft capital. A lot of the names I just listed could probably be had for a day three draft pick. That's the market I expect the Bears to be in. So, will the Bears make a move? I think it's likely, but it's probably not going to be one of the big name guys. I do not expect the Bears to mortgage their future. I do not see us paying another defensive lineman over 20 million a season either, but I do expect Ryan Poles to be aggressive. He's going to be looking for an opportunity to improve this team, and if a situation like that presents itself, he'll probably jump all over it. Right now, the amount of potential players that could be traded is much higher than in normal years. The NFL's trade deadline keeps getting busier and busier every year. And I expect the Bears to be buyers and a team that's looking to upgrade somewhere on this roster. Now, we don't have a ton of cap flexibility in 2025 and 2026, but we remain ultra flexible overall. With Caleb still on his rookie contract, money can be moved around. So, really, I'm not going to rule out anything here, but I don't see the Bears going crazy. I do think they'll make a couple of moves here, I just think they'll probably be under the radar sleeper deals. But Poles might have his eye on a big acquisition as well. It just depends on if he can find the right trade partner. What position is that going to be? It's tough to tell right now. Depending on JJ's health and how banged up our cornerback room is, I wouldn't overlook us making a move at that position. What position would you guys try to fill, and what players do you think would be great fits? Sign up today. Thanks to everyone who watches. I appreciate you guys so much. Tell me in the comments who you'd like the Bears to trade for. Hit that like button for me. Stay tuned. And until next time, bear down.